The religion of peace is at it again. So all private schools in Castina must close for Ramadan fast. Hishbab board. Make this make sense. Nigeria is a secular state. We are not a theocratic state, right? We are not an Islamic state. But then in one of the states in Nigeria, the Islamic board has declared that all schools must close for the Ramadan fast. Must close for the Ramadan fast. How does that even work? And these are the same people that will say, oh no, Sharia law is meant for only Muslims. Sharia law is not meant for everybody. But every day we see how Sharia law is being enforced on even people who are not Muslims. I can tell you that if the government does not intervene and private schools actually open during the Ramadan fast, there will be a crisis. So much for peace. So much for peace. If you're a Muslim and you're watching this, you don't have to be triggered. You don't have to be defensive. All you have to do is to call out the bullocks that some of your brothers or Muslim brothers and sisters actually support. Because when you talk to some Muslims, they're like, oh no, we don't do that. But then the general representation of the things that we see in the media and the things that we've experienced says otherwise. And it begs the question, so what are the same Muslims doing? What are they saying? How do they fight against this oppression that comes from some Islamic sects? What are you guys doing exactly? Because I don't understand why I need to shut down my school as a must because of a Ramadan fast. Why? When Christians are fasting, we don't shut down schools. We don't shut down schools. We don't ask people who are not Christians to suffer with us. No, we don't.
I want to address our northern leaders. I want to emphasize on doing things that are right. We cannot continue to be taking a region backward. I don't see the reason for the state governments of other states in the north to declare that schools must all go down or close down for the Ramadan. The last time I was in Dubai, Ramadan was on. Nobody was compelled. Schools were running. Schools have been running in northern Nigeria while the Ramadan is on. Why should we get ourselves always entangled into some crisis or setback? This is unacceptable. Northern Nigerian leaders, we must learn to do things that are right. Not everybody is a Muslim, and not everybody is compelled to fast. Ramadan should be a choice. It should not be something that should be compelled. Children that are going to school, you want to put them on 30 days off. For what sake? We have to get things right. And I advise the governors of northern Nigeria to do what is right. This is unacceptable. It's unacceptable. We cannot punish everybody and compel everybody for what is a choice. Let's allow children to go to school. We have seen what we have gone through because of illiteracy in northern Nigeria. We cannot afford to close down all schools. Get things right. We don't accept this. And so these bans should be reversed. God bless Nigeria. God bless Nigerians.
War between Christians and Muslims in the northern part of the country, which has drawn the attention of Khan president and almost every part of Nigerians because of the selfish interest policy made by some 4 governors in the northern state of Nigeria because of this Ramadan. My correct put them no be smarting. According to the Khan president, he said, even in Saudi Arabia and the UAE, where Islam is central and Ramadan is deeply revered, schools remain open, Khan informed northern states. My correct people, they must see the hot. Northern state governors have closed schools, shut down all, both private and, of course, government schools in the northern state just to honor Ramadan fasting. And this particular sit at home, we will not just sit at home, let's just say shutting down of the schools. It's for 5 good weeks. And these people now draft out their own curriculum. They now have their own time of going to school. They only made it went to say this time around that especially the Igbos, that's one man like Martin and Simon was in Finland saying that we should sit at home and we are observing it. And since we're observing it, that we should not talk against their own. Don't be smart, I see the hot. Now, Are they trying to tell us that they are honoring Boko Harams? Yes, because these people are preaching nothing but Sharia law. Do you understand? Kai, no be small thing, no wahala. They say it be like bicycle for inside Nigeria of today. Oh. So the Christian Association of Nigeria can has criticized the directives to close all schools in Bauchi, Katsina, Kano, and Kebbi states for up to 5 weeks during Ramadan, calling it a violation of students' rights and a dangerous signal for governors. So the camp president, known as Archbishop Daniel Okoh, expressed concern over the decision, stating that it disrupts education and worsens the already high rates of out-of-school children in these states. Remember that these things are happening in northern parts of the country. I remember that northern people hardly go to school. I know majority of you are aware of this. So he equally emphasized that education is a fundamental right and that such an extended closure threatens academic progress. The absence of broad consultation before implementing these directives is troubling Khan. It's troubling. This is what Khan stated. So policies affecting diverse populations demand transparent, inclusive dialogue with parents and equally educators and religious leaders. Does it mean that we are in a Muslim country in Nigeria? Remember, Nigeria is not a Muslim country. Do you understand? We have Christians, we have Muslims, we have jihadists, we still have traditionalists in the country. As a matter of fact, if not want to push Sharia law, that means Nigeria should divide. The only best way to sort out our differences, both in religion, in culture, and of course, in tradition, is just for us to go our separate ways. Because the North will not allow with what the Easterners are doing, knowing to what that Easterners are sitting at home because of their brother being held by Nigerian federal government. Why would a northern governor just wake up and shut school for 5 months, for 5 weeks? Excuse me, I have a question to ask. Does it mean that Nigerian Muslims are bigger than other parts of the country, other part of the world's Muslim? I don't understand. Are they bigger than other Muslim countries all over the whole wide world? Because as it stands now, I have seen some Muslim countries during this Ramadan feast. The only thing that these people observe is that while they are fasting, they minimize the time of their work. For instance, we work in Nigeria from 8 to 4. Instead of working from 8 to 4, you work from 8 to 3 o'clock, everybody will go home. And not just total shutdown of the schools. Like for school student that goes to school from 8 and dismissed by 2, it should be from 8, dismissed by 1 o'clock. That is how it is being done all over other countries. What is wrong with, in fact, Nigeria, in fact, it be like saying na hello. Kai, na wahala dey say e be like that. Today I saw some of northern blogger. If you see what these people are saying with their mouths, kai, wahala dey say e be like bicycle. And sometimes I began to wonder, how did we imagine to be one? How come that they put all of us together to be under? Because I don't understand how our Muslims in Nigeria, how they reason. The way they are reasoning, they are not reasoning the same way other Muslims in other parts of the countries are reasoning. Eh? Kai, they reason like terrorists, like moron allegedly. Oh. Kai, wahala dey say e be like bicycle. May God help his children. Well. Wetin una gat to talk? I will allow you guys to watch so many videos of people's reaction regarding this Khan and Muslim stuffs in the northern part of the country, because as e dey hot, internet don catch fire. Everywhere dey suruloko, everywhere don, e come be like say na now Muslim versus Igbo, because that is the way Muslims in the northern part of country are now doing it. They say that since we Igbos are observing sit at home every Mondays, that we should not be concerned about their own laws. That every part of the country, every state should put laws that work for them and their people. Hey, wahala dey say e be like bicycle, my correct people dem is me say omo Nigeria is finished. Nigeria is in a state of anarchy, lawless country.
At the 1957 Northern Nigerian Conference, Northern Nigerian scholars agreed to take out Sharia from private domain, from public domain. In 1956-59, it was a debate in London what to do with religion. In 1979, but we had that concession that religion should not become part of public policy.
I've been able to speak with one of the executive of the Apex Christian body, Ican, who also confirmed to me that they are going ahead to legal, alternative about the closure of the schools for the 5 weeks of Ramadan. Now, the most important thing that bothers them, including Christian schools and private schools, were closed down as well. Why? Because some persons want to fast. So I am happy that for the first time, some news media are also reacting to it, because issues like this, sometimes they just keep mute as if they don't know what is going on or they are not seeing what is happening. Take a listen.
4 northern states of Katsina, Kebbi, Kano, and Bauchi announced a shutting down of all schools because of Ramadan. There have been reactions from civil society groups. The matter is more of concern following revelations from the National Bureau of Statistics that the 4 states have the highest number of out-of-school children. According to the NBS's Multidimensional Poverty Index, Bauchi State has the highest percentage of children lacking access to education, with a figure of 54%. Kano State follows with 35%, Katsina 38%, and Kebbi at 45%. On the average, these 4 states have 44% of children deprived of education, which is 10 percentage points higher than the national average of 34%. Dr. Sam Amadi is here to help us make sense of all that you just had read out in that story. Dr. Sam, glad to have you join me.
Thank you. Good evening.
Maybe we should start at where Khan says it's prepared to seek legal recourse. Let me quote what they said here. He says, "Our pursuit of peace does not diminish our commitment to justice."
Well, I think Khan is the umbrella of Christian in Nigeria, so it has some locals, especially since some of their members operate schools, okay? Some of them are private schools, some of them are perhaps church-based schools. So the issue of going to court is a peaceful process to resolve conflicts in a democracy. So there's nothing untoward about indication of going to court. What have been problematic is a protest or some kind of, civil quote-unquote street action. So that's good. But again, stepping back, what are the issues here? So first, the government has a right to declare public holiday. So this is not the sense of power to declare public holiday. So for example, we know that even the Ramadan itself, the day of the end of the fast, will be a public holiday, 2 public holidays. Nigeria has been very fair and balanced in public holiday. In fact, some of us think probably we have too many public holidays, okay? But I think if you look at Christmas, which is actually 25th, and the Boxing Day, the government gives 2 days to celebrate Christmas. Gives 2 days for the Fite, the Kabir, and Easter and all that. So there have been some argument that says, oh, during December we shut down, but that's not true. For example, civil servants work, when I was NEC chairman, we closed 23rd, so 24th, 25th, and people were supposed to resume the next Monday. We've never had, whether for Christians or Muslims, a period where 5 weeks we've shut down schools to celebrate Ramadan. That's 1. 2, let's bear in mind that this is not an action on behalf of imams or the Supreme Council of Islamic. This is just fortuitous by the governor. So it's not a case of Muslims clamoring that they need 5 weeks to have meaningful, fast. Many of us are going to partake in the breaking of fast with our Muslim friends. We know that this is a very serious global activity. It doesn't require government's action to enable it to happen. People have been fasting, whether in Saudi Arabia, in the UK, in Nigeria, anywhere in the world. The religious structure is very clear. You fast, you break your fast. I know that some of businesses allow Muslims perhaps to go early. Some will leave office like 4 or 5.
I think on Fridays
to prepare, even working days.
Okay.
Yeah, just to support, know that, maybe some will need to go home early to prepare. Okay. But nothing calls for
5 weeks.
5 weeks of school closure. Again,
especially when you think about the fact, I'm not stopping you, but these states already face alarming rates of out-of-school children.
So first is the fact that there's really no religious justification for this. There's no history of it. There's no clamor by Muslim faithfuls who fast regularly and fast well that, look, they needed to have that happen. That's number 1. Number 2, now let's look at the human development. So if there is no overriding state interest and there's no overriding religious reason for this, then it's mere populism by the governors, maybe a mistaken notion that they will be seen as too faithful. or some kind of, novelty. That's how we got the Sharia.
Yeah, Doc, because of time, I'll ask you two questions straight out.
Yes.
And one, does this then give credence to the ongoing call for restructuring? That's one. And then two, the MBF Middle Belt Forum is asking the president to exercise his authority to prevent these states from descending into what they call religious fundamentalism.
Well, the issue of restructuring has been there. Three dimensions. One is geopolitical in terms of, but also the state-religious relationship in Nigeria has been problematic. If you look at from the 1957 Northern Nigerian Conference, Northern Nigerian scholars agreed to take out Sharia from private domain, from public domain. In 1956-59, it was a debate in London what to do with religion. In 1959, but we had that concession that religion should not become part of public policy. But we've done more to violate that commitment in terms of whether support for Christian Muslim pilgrimages. I'm of the view that the Nigerian government continuously intermingles too much with religion, not to make religion good, not even to, in fact, to oftentimes desecrate the spiritual religion itself, but also make it problematic. So this kind of action, 5 days, I mean, some of the schools, probably not Muslim schools, some of the Christian schools, or secular schools, I think this is overreach. I think this is really irresponsible, considering the human development indicators. And the fact that this does not in any way add to the experience of faithful Muslims who have been fasting. Look, most of these kids are going to be school kids who probably are not going to even do that kind of level of fasting.
So under 45 minutes, what MBF is saying, is it feasible? President should, you've talked.
The president can use not bulletproof it, but nudging to say, look, governors, this doesn't look good. Look at the data and what are you going to achieve. The president always has influence to nudge them. Now, this is not going to be a case of commandeering resources, but if the president is so mad about this, he could have a ways to show them that his displeasure. Because look, this is gratuitous, this is unnecessary, unreasonable, not religiously edifying, basically doesn't make sense in the context of gross, educational underdevelopment and the fact that it adds zero to the experience. Muslims have been fasting well. Now, in Saudi Arabia, anywhere in the world, there have not been a need to say close down schools. Okay, why not close down markets?
So
why not close down government offices?
Good.
So basically, it's not accessory to fasting. This is just, maybe some kind of misdirected populism to show, okay, the governor is really a good, faithful guy.
So before I just let you go, apparently it will look so the rights of non-Muslims can't point to that. It's not protected here.
Yeah, but this is, if you shut down my school because of Muslims are going to, observe their religious activity, then it raises the issue of unconstitutionality. That is violation of the right to freedom of both religion and other freedom. So the state has no right to shut down. If you go to the court, if the court is wise, constitutional law theory, they'll ask what is the overriding state interest in shutting down schools for Ramadan, a private religious experience? Zero. Any good judge will nullify the executive action of the governor.
All right, well, Khan has asked them, is asking them to reconsider their stance. Otherwise, like they said, they may take recourse to the courts. Thank you so much, Dr. Sam Amadi, for being here.
Thank you.
A whole region in this country, not one state, not two. A non-entity somewhere will sit down and tell them to sit at home and tell them that they cannot go out. And nobody dares say anything about it. Some northern states, they decided to close down their schools for 4 weeks in Ramadan. So the Christian Association of Nigeria, has condemned it, and they gave analysis that this is not done in UAE or in Saudi Arabia. I've also seen the Middle Belt Forum, they've also condemned it. The number one point that I want to make is that something cardinal and that's very crucial that we fail to realize in Nigeria as a nation is that we have different weather conditions. Some states are hotter than some other states. I'm saying it and I'm spelling it out. If you live somewhere in Oyo or you live somewhere in Anambra, you cannot compare yourself with someone that lives somewhere in the north, in Kano, Kebbi, Bauchi, or some other states, for instance. So it is upon the state governments to take whatever measure that will keep their people safe because they don't want them to die. It is as simple as that. It is so unfortunate to have a body that is as big as that and doesn't realize that in these countries that I mentioned, in UAE, in Saudi Arabia, the government reduced the working hours. I've been to banks in some of these countries, banks that are supposed to close at 3, they close at 1. So even adults, they don't want them to be exposed to unnecessary danger. That's one. Another thing is that why are we so quick as people that are not from the north? Why are we so quick to judge the actions and inactions of northerners? Why are we so quick to judge them? A whole region in this country, a whole region, not one state, not two, a non-entity somewhere will sit down and tell them to sit at home and tell them that they cannot go out. And nobody dares say anything about it. No one could complain about it. Not the older ones, not the younger ones, not the ones in between. Sit at home and they sit at home. So a region that has that kind of non-entity now judges the state government in the northern state for putting a measure in place to have their people safe. I call that bigotry. I call that unnecessary and uncalled for pride. I call that lording over other people's affair unnecessarily. And by the way, to my brothers from the south, this doesn't have anything to do with Sharia. It is basically a state government that cares about its people. It is just governments that care about the welfare or the well-being of their people. And to my Muslim brothers, don't do whataboutism. Don't say, oh, because some people do it, they take like 3 or 4 weeks in December, they take it off school and nobody complains. We go to school on Fridays, we don't go to school on Sundays. All of that is whataboutism. On this one, we don't have to draw the line of some people are doing something that's wrong and we have to do what is wrong. I'm saying that the measures that are taken by these state governments, Kano, Kebbi, and Bauchi, is fundamentally, in the grand scheme of things, it is not wrong. It is fundamentally not wrong. And we don't want to derail, we don't want to degenerate to the level. I know you start hearing discussions like, oh, why do they have to fast to start with? You would hear that. If you're a Muslim and you think that is right, the discussion will get to a point where they will tell you that why do you have to give preference to fasting, preference to a religious activity on the account of education? They will bring the narratives. You would hear it that, oh, the most uneducated tribe in Nigeria. I've always told people, this is what I've always informed people about. That analysis is wrong in all ramifications because you have a local government in the north that's bigger than some states in some other parts of the country. So 1,000 people, if you have 100 people that are educated, that is the ratio of 1 to 10. In some other states, some states are really, really few in number in terms of, the number of people that are there. So if they have 100 people and 10 people educated, that's also 1 to 10. So ratio is the same. But if you look at the figures, they have more educated people. So that argument is lame and is tame and it doesn't hold water. But essentially the point is, my advice or my suggestion would be that maybe the school calendar should be planned such a way that in Ramadan, especially in places that are really hot and it's hard to go to school, the holiday is planned and is structured to fall at that particular point in time. Because at the end of the day, whose children is not able to go to school? Northerners. Whose children are not able to attend, to further their education. So we need to look for a way to strike the balance. So that way we'll have been able to tackle this, or we'll have been able to find a mutual ground between the two extremes.